Good day. Bit windy. You can see that I've netted these gooseberries that are forming quite well. So I obviously don't want the birdies to get to them. But it really is a day of two halves. Look at that fantastically gorgeous blue sky. And then if we come over here, look how dark it gets over there. Did you hear that roll of thunder? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, definitely a day of two halves. And I was fortunate to find another bit of cardboard, good bit of cardboard. So that is going to go onto there. Right, I'm going to get on and do that. Well, the rain has come in again. It's been doing this all day. But what you might be able to see just off centre on the left is I spent this afternoon putting in bean canes and bean frames. Doing things slightly different this year. What I've usually done in the past is the apex frames. So that's where the bamboos cross at the top like that. And last year I did them across two of our beds. So the frame, if you like, was 4.8 meters long and about 80 centimeters wide. Because our beds here are 2.4 meters by 1.2 meters. And it was two of those beds together, which gave the 4.8 meters. And then I tucked the frames in at the bottom about 20 centimeters on either side so that I could put bush beans down the side. And that meant that the base was about 80 centimeters apart, or the poles were 80 centimeters apart at the base. What I'm doing this year is, instead of doing one large frame with lots of different types of climbing beans, I'm splitting the frames up. And as I have begun filming this segment, the rain has stopped. So let's get out there and I can show you what I'm talking about. If you were watching last year, you'd know that these two beds, the garlic bed and the onions bed, were our bean frame beds. But instead of doing really long ones, i.e. 4.8 meters long, I've decided to split different varieties in different areas. So if we come over here, you will see that I have set up on the two squash frames, the triangular frames in the middle and on the right there, I've set up bamboos. In the one closest to us, i.e. the one in the middle of all these bamboos, the bamboos aren't really touching the frame, where in the one on the right, the bamboos are touching the frame. I just thought I'd do a little experiment. And on these here, where we've planted runner beans or sown runner beans already, we haven't planted because we've sown the actual runner bean, you can see that they're flaring out rather than coming to an apex. So the one in the middle there is sort of virtually vertical, a little bit sort of bending in, but then the one over there now in the middle is actually touching the frame. Let's go over and have a look. So with this one, I think you can see if I go here, the poles, the bamboos, aren't actually touching the frame. But if I come over to this one, the bamboos are largely, apart from this one close here, are actually touching the frame and sort of going up to an open apex. And I'm just doing this to see what happens, really. Yeah. So that's 3 types of bean, including these runner beans. And then if we come over here, the one that we saw when we were looking out from the shed door, you can see that these are really quite close. There's only about maybe 35, maybe 40 centimeters separating the bamboos at the base. And then they go up to a sort of traditional apex, or for a short person, this is a traditional apex, because I can't really go much higher than my head height to tie things, because I don't have any ladders here, and I wouldn't want to do that anyway. So that's a sort of traditional apex, though, as I say, the base of the bamboos are quite close together. So if you can imagine, last year, these were at least double the width they are and were in the centre of the bed next to us. So yeah, quite a traditional apex frame. What isn't traditional is I've tied them here and I've tied them here, but these, as you can see, are loose. The reason I'm doing that is last year I did that and found that once the beans had climbed to the top, they obviously attach the poles, the bamboo canes rather, to the bracing along the top anyway. So I'm doing that again this year. It just made the job of taking them down so much easier. But otherwise, it's a traditional frame. Then if we go to these, I've not done it this way before. You can see that the crossing is much lower down. It's just under halfway up the full canes. So the bracing is really, what's that, about a metre off the ground, with another metre of poles up there. Again, just trying something a bit different. I think we're going to have another structure, I think, either in that middle bed there or at the side of this onions bed. As you know, I'm not too happy with how these onions are doing, and I'm thinking about taking out sort of, what am I doing? I'm thinking of taking out, leaving these in, but taking these here out. And if I do that, I'll put some beans in there too. So yeah, a mix of different frames. I've also put some extra layers of string onto the P support there, and I'll just add string layers as and when we need them. I do need to add layers to the one on the right as well, which is now in the middle of the picture, the Golden Sweet and the Mr. Bethel's Purple Podded. But you know what, that can wait for another day. Everything is looking very fresh. It's still quite bright, as you can see from the flaring. But yeah, there we are. I'm going to leave it there today. Happy to have got some bean frames up, and I'll likely see you again tomorrow. Bye. Good day. Though I'm starting with some sad news, so I'm putting that there right now. We lost Fenella maybe 3 weeks ago. It was, I think it was her time to go, really. She's been on this site, we think, for around 9 or 10 years, and I've known her for about 5. And I came down about 3 weeks ago, and she was by the quince tree, and she was panting and was clearly sort of uncomfortable. And I gave her some water and I gave her some food, and she had that. And I was sort of keeping an eye on her. And even though she's allowed us to get close and has got close to us, even closer to us than we've got to her, if you see what I mean. There've been occasions where I've been sitting on the bench by the green poly, looked down, and she's just been at my side, just laying there. But she went to the side of the polytunnel, between our polytunnel and our next door neighbour's shed. And it was a sunny day, and that was a shady area, and she was sitting in the shade by the quince. So I moved the water closer to her so that she had water. And, you know, as happens, you hope for the best. And then the next day, I let our next door neighbours here, our lovely next door neighbours here, know that she was at the side of the shed. And sadly, when they came down, she passed away at the side of our shed, which is really sad. But you know what? That's nature. You know, she was an old lady. She looked sprightly. You know, she always looked sprightly. But in reality, she was an elderly lady. So, plane going over. So yes, our next door neighbours have buried her, which is lovely because she's still on our site here. So that's great. So what I've decided to do today is sow some parsnips and carrots in her memory, or in memory of her rather. And I'm going to do it in her favourite bed. She had 2 favourite beds. She had this bed in front of us, the tall bed here, where we had our parsnips and carrots last year. And she took that phrase, you know, bed literally, or that word bed literally. And the other place that she really loved was the tomato bed by the polytunnel. And in fact, that's the last photo that we have of her lying on my tomato bed by the polytunnel. So yeah, you know, sad news, but that's nature as well. It's taken me a while, as you can see, to get to this point of telling you. And I was thinking, shall I say something or shan't I? But I've decided that I am and I have, so there we are. Anyway, I'm going to become a blubbering mess. So let's cut off here, and I'll come back to you with a smile in a minute. Right, I've had my blubber, and now I'm going to get on with seed sowing. And our parsnips and carrots are going into this bed in front of me. First of all, I need to just do a little bit of hand weeding there, and fill in all the holes that are still there that either Fenella or one of the other foxes has made. I think they were Fenella because there's been little activity in that bed for the past few weeks. So yeah, I'm just going to level that bed off and then we're going to get seed sowing. Right, I've just spent a little bit of time quietly doing this. So I hand weeded the bed and then I raked it flat and then I tamped it down with the edge of the rake, and then as you can see I've made drills, i.e. lines, across the bed and used my trowel to move soil to one side, and it's in those little trenches that I'm going to be sowing the carrots and the parsnips. As you may be able to hear or see, I'm not sure, we're having a little shower at the moment, or it seems to be easing off a bit. So the good thing about that is that those trenches, which are not dry really, but will just have had a little bit of a soaking before I sow the seed. What I'm going to do now is just go into the shed and we'll chat about seed and hopefully be able to come back and sow it when this rain shower has gone over. It's quite a light rain shower. It's not as heavy as it was yesterday, but you can most probably hear it on the plastic of our roof. So what am I sowing today? I'm going to be sowing parsnips tender and true, carrot Lunar white, which as the name suggests is a white carrot. Does Lunar suggest it's round? I don't think it's round. I think it's a tapered carrot, but I'll have to look that up. London Market, which is a bog standard carrot, an old carrot, an heirloom carrot, and then carrot Nantes, which is just another bog standard carrot. And the thing to remember about carrots and parsnips is it's always better, in my opinion and the opinion of many others, to direct sow, because they don't like their roots disturbed. It's also a good idea to sow thinly, because even the action of thinning the seedlings can disturb those roots, and there is thought that in doing that thinning and disturbing those roots at a very young age, you might bring about forking of, sorry, just hit the camera, forking of your carrots and your parsnips. What Vivi does, which I think is a really good idea, is she sows thinly, and when the seedlings come up, and I think this is particularly with her parsnips, she uses scissors to thin the seedlings of her parsnips. So what she's doing there is she's cutting the parsnip seedlings that she doesn't want to thin out her rows of parsnips to make sure she has the right amount of parsnips that she wants as seedlings in a row. Quite itchy nose today. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, because by snipping the seedlings, she's effectively killing them, which is what you would be doing when you are thinning them anyway. Because, as we've said, parsnips and carrots don't like being transplanted. Therefore, to take seedlings and transplant them elsewhere doesn't work. And in fact, when I've done that with beetroot, I haven't had much luck, though other people have done quite well with that. As you can hear, hopefully, the shower has passed, so I'm going to get out there and start sowing. These are our parsnips. As you can see, they're oval shaped, oval to round shaped, and in the centre they've got a sort of slightly bulbous bit, and then they're quite thin and frilly round the edges. This is carrot seed, much smaller than the parsnips. Yeah, and very, very fine. Very fine seed. The camera's even bobbling trying to pick it up. So I like to put the seed in my hand, and then I'm dropping in about every 6 inches one seed. I sow very thinly, and these are parsnips, have I said that? And of course they're much easier to see than the carrot seeds. I'm doing 3 rows this year, and these are Tender and True from Vital Seeds. I'm going to go over there and do those. So hopefully you can see the parsnip seed here, there's one there, one here, one just here. There's one trying to escape there, pop it back in. And then all I'm going to do is pull this soil that I heaved up this side back over. Pat it down. Now I'm going to label, well, I'm going to do the rest and label the 3 rows so I know where the 3 rows are. If we get good germination, obviously I'll know where the rows are, but well, with the parsnip I will know it's parsnip because it looks like parsnip, but with the 3 types of carrots that we're growing, they will look the same. And if you're doing 2 or more types of parsnip, label them so you know which is which, because they will all look the same when they come up as seedlings too. For our very fine carrot seed, I'm just doing a thin sowing right along. We're doing 3 rows. A few more in there. I think I've missed a few. And I'll go the other side and do the others. These are Nantes. So I'm doing 3 rows of Nantes, 2 rows of Lunar White, and 2 rows of London Market. As with the parsnips, we're just going to pull over the soil that we banked up back into that trench. These are about 2 centimeters deep, but once we tap them down like that, they'll be more like 1 centimeter. After that first watering, I gave everything else another good watering after about 20 minutes, making sure that there's plenty of moisture around those seeds to soak up wetness and start germinating. So fingers crossed. I've also put this scaff netting on top. It's a double layer of scaff netting only because it fitted neatly that way. And the reason I've done this is obviously I've disturbed soil that Fenella I know dug up several weeks ago, or over 3 weeks ago. And if there is any residual scent of her in there, it might attract Brush and Felicity, and they might want to have a bit of a scrabble. So yeah, I've put that on for the time being, and once I see germination happening, i.e. seedlings coming up, I'll most probably leave it on for a few more days and then just take it off. But I will be checking regularly after about 7 to 10 days to see how germination is going in this bed. There we are. I think we will forever call this Fenella's bed. That's our carrots and parsnips sown, or some of our carrots and all of our parsnips sown. I am going to be sowing autumn king carrots, but they will be sown in July in the bed that we currently have our early potatoes in, because the autumn king will overwinter for us really well. You can sow them now as well if you wish, and they will still overwinter. But we're doing Nantes, Lunar white and London market in this bed, and we'll do autumn king in a few months' time in the other bed behind me. Right, I'm going to leave it there now, and I'll see you again very soon for another segment of A Week at the Plot. Bye. Good day. I'm going to be tidying this up today. Popping the table into the other shed. Taking out the parsley and coriander and cleavers that are in here. I've just been turning these around 180 degrees. Most of the sun that they get is sort of from that angle there, so obviously the plants will lean towards that angle, so I need to turn them around. I was just looking at this one and put him back the wrong way, but the reason that they're sort of bending this way a bit is because before I turned this 180 degrees they were bending the other way towards the light. My peppers are beginning to strengthen up, nowhere near as strong as Vivi's. The courgettes here are coming on really quite well now, and we'll need to start hardening them off. And the tomatoes are really beginning to strengthen up now. They were quite weak when they came down, but a week in the polytunnel has really helped them. Oh, one other thing. I realised the other day, well, not realised, I found a piece of perspex the other day, this bit of perspex here, and what I'm going to do is just attach it to the lid like this, because I tried to get these screws out, but this is glued so heavily in here, glued in there, and this isn't coming off easily. So what I'm going to do is just overlap this bit of plastic. Let me do it, and now I can actually show you. Overlap this bit of plastic on the top rather than trying to get it into that groove. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I may make holes in the corners here and just screw it in, but that's what I'm going to do. I've got a feeling that if I start taking this top lid, the wooden frame rather, taking it apart, couldn't think what I was saying then, but if I start taking that wooden frame apart at the top, it's not going to go back together. So better I have a Heath Robinson concoction rather than something that isn't going to work. Yeah. Right. I'm not leaving that back on there because the brassicas in there certainly don't need any extra heat. I found a couple of mating frogs in here a minute ago when I was just seeing if they were okay. I thought they just mated in water. Yeah, I was sure they did. Maybe they were just playing piggyback. Anyway, I'm going to get on with sorting out the poly. Half an hour, 40 minutes later, and the coriander has gone, the parsley has gone, this area has been weeded. I've moved the cheeky prints onto that white tub there where the parsley was, just so that they get a bit more light than down here. They were down there. I'm thinking of something else that I may have temporarily to bring in here to put the tomatoes on that are down there to give them a bit more light. But I think with the heat and the light that we're getting at the moment, even though we're also having quite heavy thunderstorms, things are beginning to move on in here, which is great. Yeah. Right, I do still need to do those 2 tabs in the middle. I need to join them back to the metal pipe, so I'll do that tomorrow. I'll make a note to do that tomorrow. But I just wanted to get this simple job done today. One of those jobs that you keep putting off and putting off, and then one day you go, right, I'm just going to do it. So I got on and did it, and I'm happy about that. Lots more to do elsewhere, but we'll pick up on that another day. See you soon. Bye. Good day. Just a brief visit to the plot today, and as you may be able to see, there's been a bit of scuffing on the netting, so I do think we've got brush or felicity around. They pulled out that marker there, scuffed up a little bit here, so I'm just going to get some more pegs and peg it down. But I'm glad I decided to do that. Whether it's because of Fenella scent or not, I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm glad I did that. Something else that was, yeah, this was rather a delight, because I sort of now know that Brush and Felicity, who we haven't seen for a few weeks, one or other of them, or another potentially, is out and about somewhere on the site, which is great. And another, oh, let me just show you poached eggplant. Look at that. That's the poached eggplant that Vivi planted in January next to our oregano, which needs another harvest. There's some seedlings, I think, of coriander or parsley coming up there. Oh, I've just noticed the green on the kiwi is gone. Is that going to be slug damage? I think it most probably is. Oh. Yeah, that bed's looking quite nice now. Well, lovely actually. Lovely to me anyway. This is all of the weeds that we took out of the tomato bed. They're going to be going into our household green compost. Tidying to do. This has fallen over, this trellis. It's a really knackered piece of trellis anyway. I think I'm going to break that up and use it as sticks to go into our compost bins. But this area behind here, under the ceanothus is our wildlife area, so I'm trying to keep the grass longer in that area. But talking about the grass, I mean, look, it's just, it had that strim a week ago and it really needs another one. Oh, and look at the flower bed, our flower border bed. What's that? It's Phacelia, I think. Aquilegia, California poppies there. Lots to come out here. Forget-me-nots in there. Cornflower to come out. Poppies there. And there. More Phacelia. The feverfew. Calendula. We've got our tiny little oh, what do you call them? Oh, they've been eaten by the looks of it. Pansies, tiny pansies. That's going to be a doodah. Oh, I can't think of it. Oh, but yeah, there's a different type of poppy coming up there. The lungwort's looking really healthy. More Aquilegia. That's a oh, that's a thing. What is it? Oh, I can't remember. Chicory, wild chicory. So yeah, you know, most of what is in here has self-seeded from last year or remained from last year. That's a cardoon. I think that will be coming out because it will get quite thuggish in there. Got lemon balm there. Look in there though, cinquefoil. Need to get that out. So I'm sort of tending to this bed, but letting it go wild. Where there is things like cinquefoil, I'm taking it out. Where there's couch grass, I'm taking it out. If I see bindweed, I'm taking it out. But if I see native wildflowers, I'll make a decision whether I remove them or not. Like this one here. You know, it's like that sort of big tall dandelion. You know, I'm not taking that out. It's a weed. But it's a weed that's in the right place and it's lovely. Yeah. Really pleased to think, what was it? Maybe 14 months ago, this was just bare earth. One thing I do need to be careful of and keep on top of is this oxalis. That was the shed door, because that will spread. Yeah, and then something else I need to do this weekend is tidy the shed. Look, it's such a mess, but that's fine. That's fine. It needs a tidy though. But look, wild garlic and a little note from a fellow plot holder there. So I was talking to a plot holder about our wild garlic the other day and he said, oh, I can give you some more. He was quite interested that our wild garlic seed had come up so quickly. So this is our wild garlic seed that I think we sowed in about October time, and it's flowered. You can just see the 2 flowers have gone over there. So I'm going to let that self-seed hopefully into that pot. But yeah, I'm going to get on and do things. Actually, yeah, I'm not going to do a lot today because it's I'm not going to do a lot because I've got other things that I need to do today. So oh, look, a runner bean, one of Shaz's runner beans. Oh, fabulous. Oh, look, there's another one there. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, I can't see any more.
Or maybe one's coming up there as well. Oh, I can see some bindweed at the back there as well. That needs to come out. Oh, runner beans. Oh, excitement. Too much excitement. These beds need weeding. These beds need planting up. But look at the sunflowers that are coming in here. Again, I think a squirrel has buried a seed head in there. The cardoon is really going for it. Wow. Yeah. Right, I'm going to leave it there. But look. Oh, my battery's going as well. Oh, yay, a runner bean. Fab. Right, oh, and these highly scientific experiment runner beans are flowering. We'll have a look at those another day though. But look, in there, can you see black fly? Oh, dreaded black fly. Right, I'm off. I'll see you soon. Bye. Good day. And it is a rather good day today. We travelled back down yesterday, Friday, from up north because we were picking up the car that Richard's dad is giving us, or has given us actually. So we were picking that up and driving back yesterday. It was so wet. I mean, the whole day was so wet. There were really brief respites where it wasn't raining when we were driving back, but it really was pretty torrential rain all the way down. I think we got back home about 9:30 last night, something like that. And today is different. It's still overcast. We've had a few spots of rain, but really it's so much better than it has been. And that wind as well, it was so windy over the past few days as well, particularly yesterday. And there's some, not damage, but there's a few things that have flown over onto my plot, and some of the cardboard that I'd weighted down, I didn't weight it down enough and it's blown, sort of flopped over, if you see what I mean. So I'm going to be doing that today. But what was lovely is going to our post box and finding these cucumber wumba seeds from Vivi. So Vivi gave us cucumber seeds from her save seed earlier in the year, and I have no idea where the seeds have got to. I've put them somewhere for safekeeping and have no idea where they are. They're not in our boxes in the fridge. They're not in Bertie. They're not down here. So I was so grateful when Vivi said that she had extra seeds. So she sent us these and I'm going to sow them today. Even though the sun is trying to break through, I think it's about, that's completely wrong. I'm sure my temperature thing is completely wrong. It's saying it's 24.8 degrees in here at the moment, which I don't think it is. I think when I left the house, it said it was about 11 or 12 degrees outside. Maybe when the sun comes out, it's a few degrees more, but it's quite cool today. It's quite a cold May day for us in the UK. But I'm going to sow these today. I'm going to use individual pots. I'm going to sow 2 seeds per pot. And I will likely prick out the weakest, though knowing me, what I'll most probably do is decide that they're both pretty strong, and I will just separate them and pot one up into an individual pot. Or shall I put them into modules? Yeah, I'll put them into modules. I'll do that straight off. That's what I'm going to do. So they'll go about 1 centimetre deep and they'll be in our polytunnel. I'm sort of playing a little bit of catch up because I think it's best to sow your cucumber seeds in March or April. But, you know, I didn't have them. I didn't have time. Things have sort of a bit got away from us in April and also a little bit into May. I mean, look, we're 2/3 of the way through the month. I have no idea where April went and I have no idea where May is going, really.
So yeah, I'm going to actually put these into our modules, our sturdy modules that we've got, sow them, and then they will go out. Obviously, once they've germinated, they'll go out in maybe 4 or 6 weeks' time, depending on how they grow. Just having a look in the poly at the moment, the courgettes really do want to go out. So I think once we've got over this sort of next batch of wet weather, which I think is coming Sunday and Monday, Tuesday in London, I'll be looking at putting those out next week and start hardening them off. What I'm going to have to do though is we've got two babs coming up in the same tray, which I suppose is one of the issues with sowing things in the same tray, if you see what I mean. So something might do much better and grow much faster than something else. So I think what I might do is pot on the babs, the two babs that have come up. They are watermelons, so I'm going to pot those on, I think, into bigger pots, and then that will leave me with the tray free with the seven courgettes in to start hardening that off. So I can bring the tray out during the day, put it back into the polytunnel, and slowly give it more time outside than in the polytunnel for hardening off. So I think I'm going to start doing that maybe tomorrow. So yeah, I'm just going to crack on and do things now. So I'm going to leave you, I think, because sowing cucumbers is very similar to the sowing the melons that we did a few weeks ago, or a couple of months ago now. And in fact, Vivi has got a cucumber sowing video, I am sure. So I'll double check that, and I will link to that here. But yeah, I'm just going to get on because this is already at 5 minutes. I've been waffling on, and I already know that so far a week at the plot is standing around 40 minutes. So this is going to make it 45. Will we leave it here today and come back tomorrow? I'm not sure. I'm going to say goodbye and we'll see what happens tomorrow. If it ends up being closer to 50 minutes, so be it. But I know people don't like long videos. But those that do like long videos like long videos. Those that don't like me rambling don't like me rambling. Those that do love my waffle and me waffling on about things. So yeah, look, the sun is coming out. You can see it's a nicer, I'm a nicer colour at the moment. When the sun comes out, it comes through the top of the shed and I go a sort of a better colour. And then when the sun goes in behind the cloud, it goes greyer. So I'm going to say goodbye and sow these seeds whilst the sun is out, and I may see you again tomorrow. If I don't, I won't. Bye. Good day. Just a very brief Sunday hello. We've had a working party today again, so have been doing an awful lot more work on levelling the area outside our communal shed and putting slabs down, which is absolutely brilliant. And we've also been looking at the paddock area where the horses were, because there's quite a lot of undersurface stones there, and I'm talking big like curb stones, which are obviously not going to be good to grow on. So we've been removing as many of those as we can. Sometimes it just looks like a little, maybe 4 or 5 inches of stone on the surface surrounded by grass, and then you go in with a big metal pole to try and wedge it out, and you find that this thing that you think might just be like, maybe 10 inches square is actually a huge hunk of granite, 3 foot by 10 inches by 10 inches. So we've been doing that this morning. One thing I did want to just show you before we close off this week's A Week at the Plot is that my hardneck garlic is beginning to grow scapes, which is what it's supposed to do. Unlike softneck garlic, which can grow scapes, hardneck garlic is supposed to grow scapes, and You know hardneck garlic because literally when you see a dry bulb, there's a big bumblebee just here. When you see a big dried garlic bulb, in the middle is a really hard piece of the scape, the neck of the flower, and it remains in there. Soft neck garlic very rarely has that because it doesn't form scapes as easily. It will under stress, and it sometimes does anyway, but particularly when it's under stress, it may form a scape, but doesn't normally. Hardnecks do, and the hardneck variety we've got here is Porcelain Music. So let me just go out there and I can show you what I mean. This side is our Porcelain Music. You can see here the red, and here the red. That's the flower beginning to form, and actually this is a delicacy in France. Some garlic is actually grown for the scapes. You'll find them at farmers markets, and yeah, they're quite a delicacy and fantastic if chopped up and put into omelettes in particular. When this happens to onions, and I can see that we've actually got a couple of onions that are beginning to flower, do take the flower off, because that's actually going to harm your bulb, your onion, as it forms. So take these off when you see when you see them being formed on onions, and use that bulb, that onion, quicker than you would other ones that haven't flowered or aren't going to flower. Anyway, we'll leave it there, and I will see you again soon for a week at the plot. Hopefully by the time I do the next upload, I will have weeded both the garlic bed and the onion bed. Bye.